Hi, welcome back to Homeschool Peace. I'm Cassandra. Today I'm excited to be able to share with you the brand new Mardel A Simple Plan homeschool planner for this upcoming 2024-2025 school year. In this video today, I'm going to be taking you through all the new revisions, as well as comparing this version to the past 2 years, since there have been so many changes. I'm going to also walk you through the student planners and then give you some really great close-ups. This will actually be my 7th year using the Mardel planner. Now this year, I was sent these planners for this video review. And though I received these planners, this is still simply my honest feedback and review of these planners. So let's go ahead first and jump into the construction of this book. If you have any experience with the Simple Plan planner, say 2022 or some of the previous versions, you'll notice that the 2024-25 version is very similar to some of the previous versions of this planner. Mardel made a lot of changes in 2023, and some of those changes were well received and some not so much. And I love that Mardel, though, listens to their customers, makes changes when needed, and you can see a lot of those changes reflected in this new version. First thing to talk about is the cover. In the 2023 version, the cover was like a thick laminated cover, no pocket on the inside, either front or back. There's a pocket though in just the back of the planner itself, but a little bit smaller, and so it wouldn't fit a full 8.5 by 11 sheet flat. In this new version, it's going to have sort of that classic Simple Plan feel with that thick glossy cover, and then in the inside, the nice larger pocket that does fit that 8.5 by 11 sheet, as well as the thicker, again, cardstock back with the pocket as well. The next thing to point out is the coil binding. They went back to sort of that classic style again with the black coil binding. This is one change that I wish maybe they wouldn't have made, because I really did like the 2023 metal binding that was here. I thought it was just a little bit more durable than this plastic. So maybe in the future, that's a change Mardel could do, is sort of use this style of the planner, but put the metal binding on that. That would be great. But still, this is a great binding on the side. You can still open it up. It can still lay flat, which is great when you're working. The next thing to talk about is the actual pages inside. The pages are much thicker than what was in this 2023 version. In 2023, the pages got really thin, almost like a computer or printer style paper. They definitely have not been holding up as well as I had hoped they were going to. Well, they made that change. They upped the thickness by 50%, so those pages are nice and thick. They're bleed proof, and they're just going to be great to write on. Very much that same thickness that maybe you were used to in this 2022 version. The last thing to point out with the actual construction is the tabs that run down the side. And we'll get into the actual planner in a moment and go through these tabs. But the tabs themselves are now the thicker cardstock glossy, almost just like the cover. Very different than in 2023. They were just the tabs sort of stuck to a single piece of paper that was thinner. So these tabs have increased in thickness, almost just like the cover, and they're just going to be great whenever you're flipping through the book. Now, the last thing to sort of point out, because of these construction changes, the planner for this upcoming year, for 2024-25, is definitely thicker. You can just see how much thicker this one is compared to this current year's version. So the planner's obviously getting thicker because of the thicker paper and thicker dividers throughout. And so that's just one thing to consider when you are shopping for planners. Know that this one is just a little bit thicker than this current year's version. So let's go ahead and take a walk through the actual planner itself. When you open up your planner for the first time, there's a welcome page. And this welcome page is going to include the information that is in this planner, as well as list out the things that are not in this planner. Now, when I was shopping for planners back in the day, I wanted a planner that could hold all my students in one planner and had everything I needed for tracking their schoolwork. But I didn't need a planner that included things for my own journaling or maybe my meal planning, exercise charts, chore charts, things like that. I didn't need that included in my planner. I wanted my planner dedicated to our homeschooling, and that's what the Simple Plan really is. The first section is the general information section. The first thing that you'll see is an area where you can record your students' information if that's something you'd like to include in your book. The next few pages are sample pages, and I highly recommend spending some time going through these sample pages if this is the first time using this planner. You're going to really get a good idea of the layout, how to abbreviate some of the information, or how to track multiple students at one time. And these examples are just really great to go through, and they have examples for the planning pages as well as your monthly layouts and the weekly spreads as well. The first section to sort of really go into more detail on is the planning section. Now, the planning section is my favorite section of this book. I like to spend time over the summer after I get all that curriculum that I ordered in. Sometimes I get a little overwhelmed, and I really like to just take that curriculum and lay it out in these planning pages, and it really helps me be organized for the school year and for the fall. So in these planning pages, the first thing that you have is just the overall calendar for 2024 and 2025. The next goes into your actual student information. Now, this book can hold up to 6 students comfortably. If you have more than 6, obviously there's some ways you can combine a couple students together with how you're listing it out. But if you have 6 or under, this planner is going to be very easy for you to use. So for this first student, I would list their name, maybe a potential schedule. If I'm looking ahead at their fall schedule, I would list their subjects and the curriculum that I'm using. Then there are 6 yearly overview planning pages, 6 per student. So I would list this for a specific subject, say if it's language arts, and I would look, what do I need my student to do for week 1, 2, 3, basically getting the whole way to week 36, wrapping up our curriculum for the year. And sometimes I even start at week 36 and work backwards, sort of filling in all of the lessons that we have, just to sort of get a feel for where do I start and how do I finish to make sure we wrap up this material by the end of 36 weeks. So I'll do one of these charts for each subject for each of my kids. And so I love these planning pages, and it really does help whenever the school year is going. You can just reference back on this chart to figure out what do they need to finish for that week to stay on track. So now let's jump to one of the actual calendar pages. So this is for July. There's the nice tab for the month of July. And inside here, you first have the July overview. You have things to accomplish, special activities, your reading list, supplies needed, prayer requests and answers, as well as websites. Now, these sort of sections might seem familiar to you if you've been using the Mardel Planner, and sometimes they sort of flip-flop a little bit where they're at on the page, or maybe the style or the graphics change a little bit, but it's still the same information. So if you look at the last 2 years, this is going to seem very similar for all of these kind of calendar pages. Not a lot has changed for the actual layouts themselves. So on the next page, you're going to see your actual calendar view. Some people really like to see it as a calendar, nice note section. Then you're going to have the actual weekly spread that you're going to just see what are you accomplishing for that week. This calendar runs Monday through Friday for this week view, and there isn't a Saturday or Sunday. If I do end up doing some school on Saturday, I sometimes will use this note section and just sort of follow suit with what I have already sort of laid out for the actual week. Now down the side, you can see there are 6 sections for subjects. So maybe for this first box, I might write language arts. Then I might write history, math, science. And then for each of these lines where you see the little dots is where I would write my students' initials and then write out what they are specifically working on for that individual day. And again, I'm getting that information from all those great planning pages that I did throughout in the summertime, getting ready for the school year, and then I'm plugging them in for what they need to accomplish for the week and then for that individual day. So you'll see these pages, one for every week for the whole month of July, and the last page in the July section is just a future planning section, anything that you need to think of for the next month. And so if you can see here, that starts for July of 2024, and it's going to end June of 2025. And most of the book is these planning individual month pages as well as weekly pages, and that takes up a lot of the actual book itself. At the very end, there's 2 other sections. The first one is the student records. We can jump there. And on student records, I love that these student record pages are here because in my state, I do need to record 180 school days. So I simply X off the days that we went to school. At the end of the year, I pull this off and I hole punch it and put it in my portfolio for my advisor. And there is 6 individual charts for each student. There is a curriculum tracker if that's something you like to fill out and track what curriculum you're using. Last is an extra section. It has a few things in here like a grading chart, some suggested readings, some things regarding your salvation and testimony, and some scriptures to memorize. There's also a section to record your extracurricular activities if you would want to keep track of that separately. And last is a notes section. One thing that I was excited that they kept from the 2023 version, so this current year school version of the planner, they added stickers for the first time, which has been really fun this year, and I was excited that they kept it. So this upcoming planner for this upcoming school year does have stickers. It has 3 pages of fun sort of journaling stickers, which has been fun just to sort of add in as you're working on your planning. So now let's go ahead and jump into one of the student planners. There are 2 versions of the student planner. The first one has more of the florally pastel flower look and feel. The other one has more of a little bit darker fall colors, nature looking planner. The information that's in the planners is the same. It's more the look and feel of what your student would prefer. So taking a look at the planner, it is going to have a similar cover to what we just went through, that thick, heavy cardstock. It has a really cute pocket on the front and the back. The planner itself is definitely thinner and it's just smaller than the teacher planner, so it's definitely a little bit more portable for your student. Opening it up, the student can write down their information. We have a calendar for the whole entire school year, as well as a semester 1 and a second semester schedule. They can write down for the year. The thing that's not in here is those planning pages that we saw in the teacher's book, as well as some of those extra pages that were in the back, like your student records or some of those extra pages with like grading charts and things. That's not included in the student book, as the student book focuses more on the monthly and the weekly schedule. So this starts July 2024 and it is going to end June 2025. So you can see almost all the planner is simply those pages. It has the nice, thick, glossy cardstock tabs for each month. And when you open it up, first there is a section that goes through the special activities, things to accomplish, websites, reading lists, prayer requests, and answers. Then it has a nice layout for the calendar and an area where they can write some notes as well. For each week, they're also going to have 6 subjects that run down the side where they can write their subjects as well as what they're doing for each day. And then a note section and a memory work section. And then they're going to have that for each week, with the final page for July being a future planning section. And that's going to repeat for every single month going through this planner. There is one last section a little bit different than the teacher's book. It's called Final Thoughts. Here is just some information for salvation, as well as some scriptures to memorize. What I thought was fun is they have a section where they can write out things I accomplished, things I loved, I am changed because, and then a note section. I do love that they have stickers, 3 pages of stickers, just like with the teacher's book, where they can add some stickers as they work through their planner, which I think is a great addition. With this nice coil binding, it's very similar to this black one. The student can open it up and it can also lay flat. This other version, the one that's more nature-like, is going to be the same information. The only difference is the look and feel. So you have more that darker, more fall, I would say, colors throughout the book. And then the stickers at the end are going to match that same look and feel with some of the animals and sort of that nature feel. But the information between the two is going to be the same. I hope this was helpful going through these planners together. If you're interested in any of these planners, I highly recommend going to the Mardel's website. I do have that link below. Go ahead and either pre-order or just order the planners depending on when you're actually watching this video. I thank Mardel for being able to provide these planners for my review and to be able to flip through them with you. And before you leave, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.